They tore down the cedar shed. That was the first thing I heard when the satellite phone finally caught a signal. The line crackled. The voice belonged to Miguel, the caretaker I paid to check on the dock when I was away. He didn't sound dramatic, just stunned. "They brought machines," he added. "Bulldozers. A woman in a blazer. She said it was enforcement." I stood barefoot on the wet stone of my porch, coffee cooling in my hand, listening to gulls cut through the morning fog. The water below my bluff lay flat and gray, breathing slow against the rocks. Nothing about my world matched the words coming through that phone. "They can't," I said quietly. "That shed is mine. The land is mine. All of it." Miguel hesitated. "She said you haven't paid HOA dues in 3 years. I laughed once, a short, hollow sound. "There is no HOA." Silence swallowed the line. "I built my life around quiet on purpose. Not the kind you buy in a gated community with manicured hedges and committees. Real quiet. Wind through pine needles, the soft tick of dock ropes, the sound of my own footsteps moving through place no one else cared to claim. The island wasn't large, just under 7 acres of forest and shoreline tucked into a remote inlet off the Pacific Northwest. It came with an old cabin when I bought it 10 years ago. I kept the cabin, rebuilt it slowly with salvaged cedar and glass I hauled in by boat, solar panels angled toward the southern sun, rainwater collection barrels that sang softly during storms, a wood stove that smelled like clean smoke and resin. My mornings were ritual. Coffee brewed by hand, a walk along the eastern ridge to check for fallen limbs, feeding the crows that learned my schedule, reading in the late afternoon when the light softened through the windows like honey. I wasn't hiding from the world, I just didn't need much of it. The nearest mainland neighborhood sat across a narrow channel, a new development that had exploded in the last 5 years. White vinyl fences, dock slips stacked like parking spaces, speedboats screaming across the water on summer weekends. I waved sometimes, they waved back. That was the extent of our relationship. Until the letters started showing up. The first one arrived taped inside a waterproof sleeve to the dock piling. No stamp, no return address, just a printed notice with a logo, North Bay Shores Homeowners Association. It stated I was in arrears for dues totaling $8,750. I read it twice, then folded it neatly and burned it in the stove. Assumed it was a mistake or some strange scam targeting waterfront properties. The second notice came 2 weeks later. Firmer language, late fees added. I emailed the address listed, politely explaining that my island was a standalone parcel, not part of any association, and that county records would confirm that. No reply. The third notice threatened enforcement action. That's when I felt the first tightness in my chest, the first disruption in my carefully cultivated peace. I called the number. A woman answered. Her voice was clipped and professional in a way that sounded practiced, not natural. "North Bay Shores HOA. "My name is Daniel Mercer," I said. "You've been sending me notices. I believe there's been an error. My property is not part of your association." There was keyboard clicking. A pause. "Your parcel 47B, water adjacent, accessed via private dock." "Yes," I said, "which is its own legal parcel. I'm the sole owner." "Well," she replied coolly, "our records show inclusion in the expanded HOA boundary adopted in 2021. You can't just adopt private property into an HOA. That requires consent and recorded covenants." Another pause. I could hear her breathing. "You can dispute it in writing," she said. "Meanwhile, dues remain owed." Her tone wasn't angry, it was dismissive, like a door gently closing. I sent certified letters, copies of my deed, county parcel maps, surveys. No response. Then Miguel called about the bulldozer. Standing there on my porch, coffee forgotten, fog lifting off the water like a curtain, something shifted inside me. Not panic, not rage. Clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was intentional.
I took the skiff across the channel that afternoon. The development marina was buzzing with weekend noise, music drifting from pontoon boats, kids jumping off docks, someone grilling too close to the fuel pumps. I tied up and walked toward the HOA office, a glass-front building with a banner advertising Community Movie Night. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and printer toner. She was exactly who I expected. Late 40s, blonde hair pulled tight into a bun, navy blazer, pearls, a posture that projected authority like armor. Her nameplate read, Linda Kessler, HOA President. She looked up as I approached the counter. "I'm Daniel Mercer," I said evenly. "We spoke on the phone." Her eyes sharpened just slightly. "Ah, the island." "Yes," I said. "Your contractors destroyed a structure on my land this morning." She smiled thinly. "Enforcement action was taken for non-payment." "You have no jurisdiction over my property," I said. "I've provided documentation." She folded her hands. "Our legal counsel disagrees." "Then I'd like their name," I said, "and a copy of the recorded boundary amendment." Her smile cooled. "You can submit a formal records request." "I'm standing here," I said. "You authorized demolition on land you don't own." Her gaze hardened. "Sir, if you continue to refuse compliance, further enforcement may occur." The word hung between us. Further. I left without raising my voice, without threats, without spectacle. That night, floodlights appeared on the mainland shoreline facing my island, bright white beams cutting across the water, washing my trees in harsh artificial daylight. They stayed on all night. Noise followed, boats idling near my dock, jet skis circling closer than necessary, music drifting deliberately across the channel. Small things, annoyances, pressure. I filed a police report about the trespass and property damage. The officer took notes, non-committal. "Civil matter," he said, "might need a lawyer." I contacted a land use attorney in the city, sent over everything. Meanwhile, the HOA posted notices publicly, on their website, on bulletin boards at the marina, labeling my property as delinquent and under enforcement. People started looking at me differently when I docked. Whispers, curious stares. Someone muttered, "freeloader," as I passed. Rumors grow fast in tidy communities. Linda held a town hall meeting where she framed me as a rogue landowner, refusing to contribute to shared infrastructure costs. She mentioned environmental violations, safety concerns, liability risks. None of it true, but repetition has weight. The attorney called me 2 days later. "Daniel," he said carefully, "this HOA filed an amended boundary map with the county clerk last year. It includes your parcel." My stomach tightened. "That's not legally valid." "No," he agreed, "but it exists in the system. Someone accepted the filing." Fraud. Clean, quiet, paper-based. I requested the original filing records, the signatures, the notarization logs. It took time. Meanwhile, Linda escalated. Another contractor arrived on my island while I was in town meeting the attorney. They cut down 3 young cedars near the shoreline, claiming they violated view corridor standards. Miguel filmed it from his boat, shaky footage, Linda visible in the background, pointing. I stopped sleeping well. Not from fear, from the slow burn of being invaded while doing everything right. Then the records came in. The boundary amendment bore a forged signature from a deceased county surveyor. The notary stamp belonged to a clerk who'd retired 3 years earlier. The submission was processed by a junior clerk who no longer worked there. Sloppy, once you knew where to look. The attorney smiled grimly. This is bad for them. But we needed more. I pulled my own resources. Years ago, before I withdrew from corporate life, I'd built compliance systems for a multinational firm. I understood paper trails, metadata, how small lies ripple outward. I installed additional cameras on the island, hidden, solar-powered, recording everything. Miguel helped quietly, loyal, observant. A neighbor from the mainland, a retired journalist named Carol, slipped me copies of HOA meeting minutes. Linda had been funneling association funds into a shell landscaping company owned by her brother, inflated contracts, kickbacks. Power likes to feed itself.
I stopped pushing back publicly. Let the rumors swell. Let Linda grow confident. Then she made her biggest move. She issued a notice of lien against my property and scheduled a corrective clearing to prepare the land for future community integration. Translation, they were going to bulldoze more of my island. I let it happen. From the ridge, I watched machines crawl ashore, watched trees fall, watched my shoreline scarred. I recorded everything. Linda stood there again, hands on hips, directing. Overconfident, unaware. It looked like I had lost.
The day after the clearing, Linda sent out a triumphant newsletter celebrating successful enforcement action and hinting at potential acquisition of non-compliant parcels for community benefit. She posed for photos near my fallen trees, smiling. That was the moment she sealed it. My attorney filed a comprehensive complaint with the county prosecutor. Fraud, falsification of public records, criminal trespass, conspiracy, vandalism, financial misconduct. Attached were authenticated deed records, forensic analysis of the forged documents, video footage of unauthorized demolition, financial records Carol uncovered, emails Linda sent instructing contractors to proceed regardless of owner protest. The prosecutor moved fast. Search warrants hit the HOA office and Linda's home within a week. Contractors were interviewed. The notary whose stamp was used confirmed it was stolen years earlier. The clerk who processed the filing admitted Linda personally pressured her to just push it through. Linda was arrested quietly on a Tuesday morning. No spectacle, just consequences. Charges stacked quickly: felony fraud, misuse of public office, conspiracy, destruction of property, money laundering. The HOA board dissolved itself within days. Emergency administrators took over. The forged boundary amendment was voided. My parcel restored officially and publicly. The floodlights went dark. The jet skis stayed away. People avoided my eyes at the marina at first. Then, slowly, cautiously, a few apologized. Rumors unwind slower than they form. Linda pleaded not guilty at first. Then the evidence mounted. Emails, bank transfers, video. She accepted a plea deal. Prison time. Restitution. I used the restitution to replant the cedars, to rebuild the shed stronger than before. The island healed. So did I. Not through revenge.